Hello, welcome to another episode of 177 Nations of Tasmania podcast. Malta is a small group of islands situated equidistant between Italy and North Africa. Inhabited since ancient times, it has been of strategic importance in the Mediterranean for thousands of years. This was no more clearly illustrated than during the Siege of Malta, a pivotal event in the Second World War and a time of extreme hardship for the people of Malta, who withstood the relentless bombing from the Axis powers. This sets the scene for my guest for this episode. Rose was born during World War II, during which time the family house was destroyed and some family members also killed. The repercussions of these events was both huge and wide for the Maltese people, with tens of thousands of Maltese emigrating to Australia after the war. Even today, there are some 40,000 Maltese born living in Australia, and over 200,000 Australians claim Maltese heritage. And that's from a country which today has a population of a little over 500,000. So Australia and Malta have quite a history together. Now, although Rose has lived in Australia for a long time now and says that Tasmania is her favourite place in the world, Malta has never entirely left her heart, and she still maintains a connection to her heritage through the language and, perhaps more importantly, through food.
I was born in Pola in Malta. I remember as a child, we used to have this guy come around with about 10 goats. He used to go door to door, Halib Talmos, goat's milk. Mother used to bring 2 buckets out, fill them up, all froth, and we loved it, fresh milk. From breast milk to goat's milk, it's excellent for you. And Mother was a wonderful cook. But when it got later towards the war, she'd make a huge macaroni dish, but she didn't have electricity much, so she'd go to the bakers. A lot of people used to go to the baker. And, for penny halfpenny, they'd roast it for her, and then she'd come back in an hour and pick it up. That was how, it was, the 10 of us.
I was going to ask whether you came from a big family.
Yes. Mother was one of 16.
Wow.
Grandfather was the British Police Commissioner to Malta, and they had servants and so forth. But it was wonderful, wonderful, wonderful family to be brought up in, because we're always looked after and always well fed. And Mother used to have an old Singer-Sew machine she got for her 13th birthday, and the old treadle and all our clothes, and made her our clothes. And
what did your father do in Malta?
He worked in the dockyard.
Okay.
The ships used to come in, and so when there's any planes or whatever coming in, they'd have to. Mother, of course, had babies.
So she was like a very busy housewife, I imagine.
Yes, she was. Yes. But during the war, they used to go into, of course, with the shelters every time they get air raids. And at that stage, my wonderful, wonderful uncle, I believe, got all the children under the shelter. And as he got the last one in, he was gunned down and was killed. And He got them all in first. But there was about 23 of my members of my family died during the war. When they come out of the shelter, of course, the house is gone. So it's a bit sad. But they very close, and everyone helped each other, of course.
Malta had laid to a pretty big siege.
Yeah, very much so. Yes, because of the Grand Harbour, everyone wanted to be control of the Grand Harbour because of the pretty wide. And I went over there and stayed in a hotel in the Grand Harbour, and it was amazing, absolutely amazing. Like it, and saw where the guns were through the huge, right across like this. Say that's the Grand Harbour there, and they can, everyone wanted it, of course. Yeah, and we were given the George Cross by the King. Yeah. And because they fought pretty hard and lost a wonderful opera house and a lot in Valletta. We went to Valletta and city. So it's quite a lot of people who've died during the war. We came out in 1950. Father came out with my eldest brother, and 2 years later Mother came out with the rest of us. It's nice sort of thinking back on all this because it brings back wonderful memories. See, wonderful it was. Yeah, I've been back to Malta 5 times and it's different, of course. But I've got a photo of where I used to live and to the place I lived.
What brought you actually to Australia?
Well, Father had a friend here and he came out on the boat, of course. And in 1950, we could then come out. He'd bought a place in King Street, West Melbourne, and it was a bluestone building opposite the Flagstaff Garden. And it was a big, big place. And we walked through the Flagstaff Garden to school then, St Mary's College.
And do you remember anything about the journey from Malta? Did you go directly from Malta to Australia?
Oh, it was long. It was huge, about 3 months. It took a long time. Yeah, so I remember because I think there was Greeks, Italians, there was about 5 different nationalities on the boat. So us children, we thought, oh, we'll see what they've got. And we ran up to the table and, each time a different nationality went up. And it was a long journey. It was a long, long journey. We arrived in Melbourne and Father and my brother who greeted us at Port Melbourne. Yeah, I remember it was quite a long journey then. Very hard time at school. Very hard time at school. Go back to where you come from, and I used to stand on my lunch and so forth. And a bit sad, but.
So where did you go to school?
In St Mary's Girls' School College in West Melbourne.
So that's a Catholic school.
Yes, of course.
Yeah.
Of course, we're all Catholics.
Yeah, as I assumed, Dad. Like at the school, were there many other migrants or?
Yes, but mainly at that point in time there weren't many Europeans at the time, 1950. Yep. That's why I got a hard time.
Yeah.
Because I was black as the ace of spades.
So you sort of stood out a bit at that time.
Yes. So Mother used to go to the Victoria Market with the pram and fill up all the goodies and went past and I used to get some things to eat because my lunch was gone
And so where you lived in Melbourne, was there a Maltese community there already?
No, it's really, it was all English and there was no... But Father just saw this bluestone building opposite the garden so we can play and it's mainly for the family and the big house. It was actually a double-storey bluestone. It was actually, he didn't buy it, he paid like $1 rent a week. It was actually 10 of us because 2 died during the war before we came.
And so did your family, or at least your parents, try and sort of maintain some of their Maltese cultural
We spoke Maltese at home and every night, of course, before we go to bed, it's like the Last Supper, we all said the rosary and I'm going, every night, But Father used to say, when we came to Australia, you don't put your hand out for the government, you work and you work and you work and you work and you give thanks for being here every day. Appreciate the land you're on. We're very blessed being here. So he always reminded us that, hey. So, yeah. And I left school at 14. I had to because girls are actually, the mission is to get married and have children, no education. So I started work at 14 years and 3 weeks at the taxation department.
So what was actually your first job?
An accounting machinist in Lonsdale Street, taxation department. This lovely neighbour got me a job there and, typing certificates. And I loved it. I really got the bus. I used to give my mother the whole pay packet closed, like 17 and 6 or something. Mm-hmm. And she'd give me $1 a day, 7p for the bus there and back, and 3p to spend. It's my passion to cook, from my mother, of course, with all those children. And not only that, she had 4 boarders as well in Melbourne.
Yeah. So she was very much used to looking after people.
Of course.
And so when did you start learning to cook?
Oh, well, I wasn't that in the kitchen.
Okay.
I don't I just...
So you just watched?
But you open a cupboard, there's just dishes, there's no tins or packets, and just watched, and it's just automatic. Yeah.
So your mother didn't specifically try to pass on anything?
Oh, no, just
You just picked it up?
Yes. No, imagine 12 children in the kitchen, no.
Yes.
No. And boys, Maltese, they're not allowed to they're not allowed to wash up or wash floors, or my sister used to scrub floors with her hands and knees. No boys. So mother used to hide the chocolate biscuits in the tea towel drawer because she knew they wouldn't be allowed, they wouldn't go in there.
Okay.
They'd never seen a tea towel. Boys are just go up to, and girls are up to be married, have children, that's it. I love cooking Maltese. I love the ravioli. I teach my grandchildren, the pastry from scratch, and they roll it and they put the ricotta in, and they love cooking.
What's sort of typical of Maltese cuisine then? Is it?
Well, mainly, ravioli, pastizzi. Pastizzis are lovely too. Pastizzi, ravioli, cannoli. Same Italian, but cannoli, and they're quite delicious. When I go to Malta, I don't eat where the tourists eat.
Mm-hmm.
I go where the locals eat. Hey, yellow, Mary, Rita, yellow, hey, and it's nice. Pastizzis are fresh pasties, and it's all coming back.
Yeah, that's good.
It's really lovely. It's really nice that you think, wow, Tasmania is my favourite place in all the world, but your heart still.
Yeah, a lot of people say that.
Yeah.
That, although they've found a new home here, and it's where they've spent a lot of time.
Well, 75 years.
Yeah.
But Tasmania is the most stunning place on God's earth, and you think, hey, it's a wonderful place to bring up your children.
And also, I think you still sort of cook some of the Maltese style.
Yes. I do. And my grandchildren also, I have them every Sunday, and I've already got rolling pin each for them, and they're going to make ravioli on Sunday. They're going to take it home to their parents. So I encourage them, and Romeo, he says, it's nice, but it's not as good as Nana's, So, and he's also too, he says, is that fresh? You shouldn't make sure they're fresh, Mum, before you buy them. So Evandale Market, that's why I go, because I buy things from the people that grow it.
You obviously started working pretty young, and was it sort of the expectation within the family that everyone would go out to work and they would be contributing to the family?
Well, none of us ever paid board, of course, and I don't know. I just gave Mum the close pay packet. And the day I got married, she gave me a bank book with every single cent I gave her.
So she was like, it was like putting the money aside as a trust fund.
Well, all of it.
Yeah.
We didn't pay. We just make sure that. Then we moved to Spencer Street, between Hawke and Spencer Street, and there was a sort of a junk used to knock on the door. I want some money, cigarettes. So Father used to get out, but Mother used to go psst, psst. They'd go around the back door and she'd give them a sandwich.
Okay.
She'd have a lot of sandwiches ready for the people that, always have food there. And
so growing up in Melbourne, was it easy for your family to adapt to that new life?
It was pretty hard because, as I said, we'll go home. We got a lot of abuse. And then being in a Catholic convent, you'd had to get up at 5:05 in the morning, go to Mass early, and then come home and get ready to go to school. But if the nun doesn't, Sisters of Mercy, if the nun doesn't see you, where were you? So we'd have to get home early. So it's a lot of, we've got teas and so forth. But it was good memory. But coming back from when we came back from Malta on the boat, when we arrived in Melbourne, wow, hundreds and hundreds and the streamers going and all this screaming and different nationalities. It was amazing, absolutely amazing. I actually met my husband at the taxation department. He's
not the usual location for romance, is it?
No, but accounting machinist. But I was there till I got married. Once you marry, you're not allowed to stay.
So how old were you when you got married?
19.
Oh, okay, so pretty.
Yeah, I had the first one 11 months to the day later, and then I got within 4 years I had 3 children, and it's very hard. It was hard, but I'm getting old. I'm thinking about Malta again.
And so was your husband, was he Australian?
Of course, I wouldn't marry.
No?
No, I wouldn't marry. Only Australian.
Yeah.
And then I remarried when we divorced, and I went to his wedding, and he came to mine. I never knew my grandfather. He died. He was the British Police Commissioner to Malta, and 16 children. Mother was the eldest, but they're all well dressed. All had servants and garden, and so they had a big place in Singlair. They looked after him very well.
What about your parents and your kids? They have a close relationship?
Their younger child, I think he was 6 weeks and my mother had passed. Yeah, she was a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful woman. Absolutely wonderful, absolutely beautiful person. She's an amazing person. They don't say I love you. They're not into, but from the heart, they cooked, and she's from breakfast, and then she starts on the lunch and starts on the dinner, and everything's hand done. With 10 children and 4 boarders, it's a lot. And then you get the packed lunches, and then you come home and everything's done. Yeah.
So what would you say is your strongest memory of your mother then?
Her love and her dedication, and very gentle. She's a big woman, but she'd go without before, It's just dedication with the children, and never went without. Never ever went without. Yeah. Everything was fresh. Everything was clean. Clean clothes, and everything was ready. But when I got married, Father said, "You make sure you have a husband and you look after him, or else." Okay. So when Michael come home from work, children were nearly to bed. Everything was laid out. Everything was dinner. This is how I was brought up to do. The shower, I used to make sure the shower was a nice temperature. All the clothes laid on the bed. Breakfast, da-da-da-da. That's how women, make sure that the person's bringing in the pay. You look after him and look after him well. So there you go.
What was maybe the biggest thing that you've learnt from your mother that maybe you still keep today?
As I said, she didn't verbally say I love you, but what she showed was amazing. Like the love that she put in the food, and the dedication, and clean wars, healthy wars, ate well, and just the love and I just will never ever forget what I felt. The most important thing is what you couldn't see. You couldn't see what I loved the most. It was all there, and she never ever 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 complained, ever, once. Well, when you're shown love and respect, you pick it all up, and you think, hey, there's something there that you can't see but you feel.
Yeah.
And I want that. I want that for my children. I want that for my children. And you pass it on, and my grandchildren are the same. They're very, very caring and very loving and very respectful. And I said to my grandson's name is Romeo.
Okay.
I said, Romeo, out of all the things I've given you for your birthday, what's the best you got? He said, Nana, your love. And I thought that was beautiful, So it's passed on.
When you were in Melbourne, was there much opportunity to speak Maltese?
Oh, at home we did.
Yeah.
But out of the house, Father discouraged it from speaking to each other in public, because it wasn't. This is a bit rude to speak another language in front of people. That given us the opportunity in this country, So Mother used to go to the Victoria Market, and I used to go with her. And she said, Georgina was my mother's name, and think of it, and they'd go off, and I went to the market once, and I said, my mother said, hey, to the guys, so, hey, excuse me, tieni bastarda. Why do you call me a bastard? Because bastarda in Maltese is cabbage, but in Italian means bastard.
Okay.
He says, bastarda. Why do you call me a bastard? What did I do to you? No. Go away. Bastarda. Because he thought she's calling him.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. So, it's yeah, just come back with memories.
I was going to ask also whether your kids had grown up with a sort of awareness or consciousness of their Maltese heritage.
Oh, yes, yes. After I was divorced from Michael, we bowed out gracefully. We just went arm in arm Christmas shopping after we were divorced, and the children never heard any bad word against us. And then I went out with someone, and my son said, "No, Leah, Ma," they spoke Leah. They said something yucky, like with Czech, which is toilet face, and they wouldn't. I said, okay. They had to approve of. But it was nice. And then this particular person I went out with, and he still goes to my son's restaurant. And it's really nice that it goes on, become friends. But they speak a couple of words. My grandson says, of a Sunday, I take him to the Everyday Market. He says, "Nana Rose," "Yes, darling, can I have some floss, please?" Floss is money in Maltese.
Okay.
So that's,
Yeah, well, that's good because often the next generation who've brought up in Australia, they can tend to forget not pick up the language and
But I mean, I said I've been here 75 years, but I can speak it fluently. I can't read Maltese, but I can speak it fluently, and I understand. But my heart is here. I just absolutely love. I wake up in the morning, I think, wow. I lived in Melbourne, in Frankston, and I was going out with this gentleman, and I thought, no, I want to go home. I missed here very much. And I came here for a couple of days and went past in Campbelltown. And I saw this bank for sale. So I said, rang them up. I said, "Excuse me, what do you want for the building?" I said, 130,000. I said, "Excuse me," I said, "I'll give you 70, you take it or leave it." Ciao, babe. They rang me up within a week and they said, "You've got it." Okay. That was Lake Leather in Campbelltown. It's a 3-story bluestone building.
On the main street.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I thought, well, and I didn't have any money at the time. I thought, what am I going to do? It was a big local Gazette front page, Rosebud's based back. And so I thought, okay. So I put a flyer out at Ross all around to bring all their goodies in, and I took 25%. This beautiful, beautiful lady at Ross had a 4-poster bed and a shearing shed. So everything came in, and it's wonderful people that Dad made wooden bowls and things. It was a beautiful gallery and antiques and collectibles within 3 weeks. And the mayor came and had an opening, and it was wonderful. Absolutely wonderful. That's where I met my second husband. Yeah, it was wonderful. Opposite the Grange. It's quite brilliant. It was really great. I bought a bank.
Was that your sort of first arrival?
No, it was a second. Yeah. The first time I came, my husband came out, and we lived in Donvale. He said, "Oh, guess what?" I said, "What, Michael?" He said, "I bought a house." I said, "You bought a house?" He said, "Yes, in Stone Street. It's a huge place." I said, "Oh, okay. When did you buy it?" He said, "Yesterday." Didn't ask. So we came. I loved it. Fell in love.
So he just bought a house in Launceston on
Yes.
a bit of a whim.
Yes.
Price was
36,000.
So when was that?
35 years ago.
And so were you living in Launceston when you were running the shop in Campbelltown?
I lived in Campbell. I lived on the building, because they have 3 bedrooms in it as well. I lived in it was a shop in the front, like the bank, and at the back it had 3 bedrooms and a big storage room, and it was brilliant because, as I said, people bring stuff in all the time, and wonderful, wonderful woodwork and from all over, and artwork came from Hobart, and so I put them up like that, a beautiful art gallery. And this lady came in, I'll never forget it, and this lady came in, she said, "Oh, Rose, will you sell my table?" I said, "Yes, certainly." I said, "What do you want for it?" She said, "Oh, $5,000. $5,000. She said, "It's about 400 years old." I said, "Okay." She said, "I don't care if you get 12,000, I want 5,000. Okay. Within 6 days, this lady came in from Sydney. She said, "Wow, what do you want for the table?" I said, "Oh, 8. She said, "You got it." I went, closed my mouth. She had someone organised to take it to Sydney. And I said to her, I said, "There's your 8. She said, "No, I want 5. I don't want a cent more." okay. So that table brought me to Malta and went to Malta holiday.
I guess you got to know a few of the locals.
Yes,
doing
yes.
that kind of
Yes.
doing that kind of thing.
Yes, yeah. Yes, but mainly for the wonderful work they did. And this, I'll never forget it. This guy brought in a bellows, huge bellows. And this lovely lady came in and she said, "Oh, I'm after the bellows, please." I said, "Sure." "Would you take a cheque?" I said, "No. Sorry, I don't take cheques." "Okay." I sent someone around to pick up the bellows and give you the money because everything's on commission. So there was a ute with a sheep on the back. These two guys come out in their overalls and, "Well, duck, you should have taken the money, shown us to both casinos. Julie Farrell was her name." And cheque would have bounced. You meet all sorts of wonderful people. Wonderful. Yeah.
So how long were you running that?
11 years.
So if I got it right, you came to Tasmania with your first husband. I got that right.
Yes.
But then you met your second husband here.
Yes. Oh, long after. I just bad experience there, and so I thought, no, I'm really happy. I love life. Never lonely, never bored, not in pain, and I'm happy being who I am, where I am.
Yeah.
But I bought the bank, and my late husband had property in the road. He was a doctor in Hobart, and anyway, I met him, and he says, "Marry me." I said, "Don't be stupid, only a month." "Marry me." I said, "What?" "No." He said, "What are you doing tomorrow?" I said, "Oh, next weekend." He said, "Oh, no." "Well, marry me." So we did, within 2 months.
Wow. That's very...
He was wonderful.
Yeah.
Wonderful person.
So how long were you married for?
11 years, 11 and a half years.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, he passed at the Campbelltown Hospital.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, he wasn't well after a while, and yeah, it was a wonderful life. It's like Ross and Campbelltown are like Hobart and Launceston, like Collingwood and Carlton, you know. And I thought, okay, you know, people used to come in and stop. They used to stop, and I used to give them a coffee while they're looking around. And so they called in and gave them a coffee, and because outside there was a male and female toilet, and they'd go and refreshing it, and yeah, I met a lot of people. But it was quite fun because I was helping everyone sell their goods, tax free, and the things they were making, and it was amazing. Avoca, people from Avoca used to come in.
So what were some of the things that people made?
Actually, Samoy dog's hair jumpers, Samoy dog hair.
Okay.
They used to knit, and they bring that in, and this guy had wonderful carving in the bowls, and I had these knives and forks and no handles. This fellow from Hobart said, "Well, my dear, trust me with them." I said, "Yes." 2 weeks later, he came back with heel and pine handles. I said, "But I said, "No." I said, "Yes." It's wonderful.
Yeah.
The things that they, I miss them. But so much things, so much talent with furniture and local Avoca and Ross.
And so what made you sort of wind that up?
Oh, when my husband died, I thought, well, no more. But anyway, this lady came in and she said, "Excuse me, my dear." She said, "I'm after a jug cover." I said, "A jug cover?" I said, "Yes, yes, I'm after a jug cover." She said, "How much?" I said, 195,000 for a jug cover. You know what a jug cover? It's a lace with beads on it to put on the milk jug. 195,000 for a milk jug. Yes. So I'll throw the bank in. She's in Rosebud. She said, "I'll have it." So she went back home, and she sold us a lake leather for 385. It was quite fun.
And what had made you decide to sell it at that time?
Well, when my husband passed, I thought, well, it's time, because I missed him terribly when he died, and I thought it was time to come into Launceston, and yeah, I love Launceston. And we used to walk. This friend of mine, Margaret Payne, she used to come in every morning before 7 o'clock, and we used to walk right around Campbelltown and every morning, and come back, and it's nice and refreshing. And Peter, when he was sick, Campbelltown Hospital. I used to go up there, close the shop, make him breakfast and take it up. He did hate the hospital.
Yeah.
Lunchtime I'd go to the butcher's and get him rump steak, Scotch fillet, and take that up to him and cut it up, and and then I'd bring him home in a wheelchair and take him back up again. And I missed him terribly, and that was. I said, I don't want to be here. He's gone, and it's time.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's time.
And so, coming back to Launceston, what was your plan here? Was it just to have a quiet life, or did you have other things on your mind after you finished in Campbelltown?
As I said, each of my children lived here with me for a while. I mean, the Maltese, if you take money from the border,
Yeah.
you don't. So they stayed here till they got themselves set up and so forth. And I was just happy. And I just thought, well, I'm happy here. Beautiful energy. Do what I like when I like, and the only thing I go to is Fridays. I go to the Good Neighbour Council. There's 32 different nationalities. Beautiful meal, beautiful in the Greek Hall off at Wellington. But I'm not a person that goes to meetings, and I don't. I'm happy here. I've got to tell you this, Mark. When my son was born, Stephen James, when he was born, Maltese are very superstitious, extremely. But when he was born, Father came to see me, and he's got on the left-hand side, he's got a red mark like the shape of Tasmania. Well, my father went off his face. He went, I said, what's wrong? He said, when you wish for a glass of wine, why did you scratch your face? Why didn't you scratch your bum? Why did you scratch your... Because when I scratch myself, that means they've got a birthmark.
Oh, right.
So he blamed me for the birthmark, that he had it on his face. Your
grandkids, it sounds like they're a bit familiar with their Maltese
heritage.
Yes. Things like that.
Yeah. They what nationality? I'm Maltese, of course, Nana. Maltese. Both my boys have been to Malta and saw where I was born and so forth, and yeah. Oh.
What for you do you think are the most important things that you've tried to pass on to them from sort of the Maltese culture, I suppose?
Also the respect, and also I'll say to them, your body's a temple. Respect what you've been given, and what you put into your body, it's there. And now they've got to, how is it fresh, or where did it come from, or they question it now. They question where things are, coming. When I hear someone with an accent, I always like to ask them where they're from.
Yeah,
it's great.
Tell me about your experience of a bit more about going back to Malta. When was the first time you returned?
In 1981.
Okay, so you were well and truly an adult by that time.
Yes. Well, I was sort of divorced then, and I just felt I want to go. I called it home then. I just felt very empty, and I just want to go back there and feel about my mum. She passed away 6 weeks after my son was born, and I wanted to go back and sort of feel her there. And I stayed in the harbour, Grand Harbour Hotel there, and as I was walking around, I said, what's this? I was more or less feeling, more than looking what's there. I was just feeling the heritage and where Mother was, and I went to the house where I was born, because we were all born in the house. The midwife used to come along, and Father wasn't allowed in the house. And when my sister was born after 5 boys, Maria Santa, why you have a boy? Why did you have a girl? I have to pay for the wedding. Why did you have a boy? After 5 boys. And sort of going back, the feeling, and I felt and looked around, and these buildings were now the big art gallery, or the opera house, when it was gunned down. And it's more a memory lane it was. It wasn't, look at this, it was more memory. And I ate where the locals eat, And I said, in Maltese, I ordered it. You're not Maltese, you're Australian. You're trying to speak Maltese, but I speak Maltese with an Australian accent.
And so going back, did it bring back a lot of memories?
Yes, it did.
Yeah.
The first time I went back, yes. It was wonderful, but after a time, I was away for 3 months actually. And when I came home, I did a Pope trip, kissed the ground when I came home, because I missed Tasmania very much. But at the same time, my heart was full of love when I was there, because I felt this is where I was born. Mother had me at such a difficult time during the war. In 1944, Mother had me during the war, and then she had 2 more after me. Now, what woman I'm really, you know, I mean, it was amazing. I mean, didn't think, oh, well, during the war, if they want to, you know, they just, that's it. You know, it was pretty sad. Taking 10 kids in a shelter and coming out, and then your house is gone, and, you know, it's hard.
And when you returned in 81, like, was there any family left in
Yes,
Malta?
yes. I had a cousins there, but I didn't stay with them because because once you're there, they just feed you. And you just go and see other people. I went there, and at the end of my trip, 2 days prior, I said, hey, guess what? I'm here. And then they took me to the airport. I did what I wanted to do first. Yeah, it's amazing. Beautiful place. No, it's mainly when I see someone or hear someone.
Yeah.
I don't. Hi, kifin today, bagrazzi, you know what I mean? I go off. But my heart is here.
Yeah.
But I can always think, I was born in Malta. I was born in Malta. And, yeah, I'm proud of it.
Yeah.
But I'm very, very proud Tasmanian. I love it.
Yeah. Oh, well, you have the opportunity to be both, don't you?
Yes.
ولولي يمر صبيش نقل علي